Closer. Perfect.
Okay.
So I want to thank everyone so much for coming in today. Looks like we have quite a few people coming in, which is just fantastic. We're so excited to do this series on resiliency in businesses in the Palouse and to kind of encourage one another to share kind of what's been going on. I know this can be a difficult, scary, and me and Manny were talking before, even almost lonely time of we're the bosses, we're the ones trying to be the business leaders. And sometimes it's nice to just share what's going on, how we're doing, and how we're doing it. So Mandy, thank you so much for hopping on today. I do want to say thank you to our sponsors from the Southeastern Washington Economic Development Association, for Aziz over at the SBDC, and for the City and Chamber for helping to promote. We love this community of businesses here that are just so invested into what's going on. And so, first off, Mandy, how are you doing? It's been a little bit warm out.
Yes, it has. And I describe myself as vanilla ice cream. I am pasty white and I melt in the heat. But rain last night was great. I mean, all in all, doing pretty well. I feel like we've gotten into a pretty good rhythm with both businesses, with Healing Hands Massage Clinic, and then also with Altura College. We've kind of been able to figure things out enough that it doesn't feel quite so unpredictable anymore, which is nice.
Awesome. So, okay, so it's becoming more predictable. What does that look like with employees? Like, has their stuff been kind of up and down, or what has that experience been like?
So our employees, we have some that have been employees for a long time, so as massage therapists, and
Mhm.
so they have clients that are regulars, and I would say the majority of those have come back. Of course, we still have some that are uncomfortable with um, the idea of coming in and are still really keeping to themselves, which is just fine. So
Mhm.
overall, I would say, I mean, our client numbers are down, um, but trending, I would say, upward a bit. We had a lot of people that were very excited for us to be open again. So, of course, at the very beginning, we had a lot of people come back, and now we're kind of settling down into what I think is going to be a little bit more normal for a while.
Okay. So then with that, a lot of those shifts with the clients, has there been new services that you guys have been offering, or have you guys been getting requests, or has there been kind of like a negotiation between clients on what they're wanting or experiencing, or are they just like, my it's been too long, I just need you guys?
That one. We definitely have people that, I mean, they're just like, oh my gosh, like, working from home, or just the fact that I mean, there's so there's so many facets to this, right? As far as
Mhm.
working from home and not having great workstations. I know you did a webinar on
Yeah.
ergonomics, so people should check that out. But besides that, like, just the everyday stress, we have a tendency to carry that in our bodies, and it affects us oftentimes when we don't even realize it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so we have people that are wanting the services. I mean, one, because they are experiencing pain, but then
Yeah.
I think even besides that, I mean, it is a full body kind of wellness experience, and it absolutely has effects mentally for people. And so I think all of that together has been helpful for the people that have been able to come in.
Absolutely. And then, and just as a refresher, do you have people coming into the clinics? Are you doing home visits, or has any of that shifted? What does service look like?
So
Uh,
for us, we've stuck with in our own clinic already. One service that we had been offering was seated massage, like in some businesses.
oh,
We haven't been doing that. We're working our way back into that.
mhm,
I think here in not too long, just because with the few businesses that we do have that relationship with, um, we know that they're good about making sure things are cleaned, right? And we have our own procedures that we're going
mhm.
to go through, which will take a bit more time. But I mean, it's not, I would say it's not any more in close proximity than, we're sitting with the person next to you. I mean, or in the grocery store, right? I
Yeah.
mean, like, yes, we're next to them, but not for that long of a time for seated massage. But most people come to the clinic, and we wanted to make sure people felt comfortable coming to the clinic, and knew we wanted to encourage people and help them to have a place that was going to be safe for them, where they knew that we were doing all that we could, and that they also then knew what to expect, because I think that helps people feel safer as well when it's not a big mystery. I mean, I think that just really encourages people to be able to come in and relax even more. I mean, get there in the
Yeah.
first place,
Yeah.
but relax even more when they're there. So I and my wonderful mom, she was my client, but I actually made my own little first time ever video of what people could expect when they came to the clinic, or what they should expect as far as like having their temperature taken and needing to wear a mask. And
Yeah. I'm just gonna have it play a little bit on the side. We probably won't watch through the whole thing, but it's pretty awesome. I love how you guys kind of showed the role play of it, but then also this is what to expect. This is how it should be going. We have everything posted, and we're here to help and support you through the whole experience as best as possible.
yeah,
And
like I
it's
said,
in a
my mom was
pretty
great.
non-threatening way, which I really appreciate. Because I think there is still a lot of unknown of how the whole thing is going to operate, of even going to a haircut. I had one this last week, and it was different than my first COVID haircut at the salon or the Great Clips. And so it was, I think there's still that a little bit of anxiety of like, oh, what is this going to be like? Is it going to be awkward? But I love how you went through the video and just showed and explained like, this is what it is, this is what to expect, and this is what we've done to make sure that this is a safe environment.
And of course, people have different opinions on, masks or no masks,
Mm-hmm.
or, the virus in general. But we know that, like, these are the rules we have to follow to be
Yeah.
open. So regardless of what people's opinions about it are, I mean, this is what we have to do. And we've chosen to require patrons to wear masks. And we've had very, very little pushback. And of course, we have the understanding, and we have the medical history for people to know that, if they have breathing problems or something that would prevent them
Mm-hmm.
from wearing a mask, I mean, we're aware of that because of their medical history. So, I mean, we're working with people, and we've had, I would say the majority of people have thanked us because they have said, I feel safe here. I see you guys cleaning. You check my temperature. You have me sanitize my hands when I first come in. Like, I know that you guys are doing the same things you were before, like
Mm-hmm.
washing your hands. And so again, I think it just helps to create a place where people feel that they can come if they do have those worries. And then people that don't have those worries, I mean, they're used to those minor inconveniences other places anyways. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really not
Mm-hmm.
that big of a deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And so with that, how have you guys felt you've done with the assistance programs? Have they been useful, helpful? You as a business owner, have you been using them, or have your employees been doing stuff like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so at first, I mean, everything just shut down automatically, right? Everything shut down, not much warning. And we just kind of scrambled. And I was watching a million webinars a day to try and figure out like what we could do. And I luckily have been very connected with Aziz at the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, for years. And at the
Mm-hmm.
school, I actually talk about the Small Business Development Centers and all of the things that they offer business owners that are free, helpful resources. And so with that, I was able to get information on things like SOWITA, the Southeast, I don't remember what it stands for. Sweeta.
Yeah.
But they were working on putting together grants, right, for small businesses. And so we were able to obtain one of those small grants from their first round. They actually have another round going right now. And then I was able to apply for that EIDL
Yeah.
loan, and we just took the advance, which was the one that was $1,000 per employee up to $10,000. And so those things helped us with, I mean, keeping the lights on, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
called a Vista and were able to get some of our bills deferred, right?
Oh, wow.
Until we were able to open back up again and pay it. We did the same thing a little bit later to the game with Spectrum, and I guess it's Ziply now, but instead of Frontier. But we called, Spectrum, and they actually have a program that's supposed to be for seasonal businesses, but they extended it to other businesses as well, where you could pay for just the phone line and have it go to voicemail instead of everything just being shut off or having to pay your full bill. And then they were able to really easily just reconnect the internet and the phone. So that was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What else? We did apply for the PPP loan and were able to get that. So as far as taking care of employees, I mean, that was my biggest worry. And and most everybody knows the train wreck of the unemployment situation, and not that they didn't try hard, but the system was just not built to handle so many people.
Yeah.
And so I, encouraged my employees to apply for unemployment and made sure they knew they could ask for any information that they needed and was just available to them. I would text them, and individually I messaged each one of them and, asked them, okay, is there anything that you or your household need, like food or otherwise, right? Like maybe they needed toilet paper.
That's awesome.
Which no one ended up, thankfully, but I just tried to be a resource for them, and not that we weren't worried, but I mean, these are your people, right? You should treat them as such. And so I felt that was really important. And besides that, then applying for that PPP loan, knowing that was going to be paying for payroll for them essentially, because I wanted them to have some bit of income, even if they weren't able to access the unemployment. So we did that, and it,
Yeah. So, so you say you messaged them. How did communication increase? Like, because of course you can't do like team meetings in person all the time.
Right. We did
But like, how did that communication go?
Yeah, communication. I mean, we actually use an app called GroupMe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we just all have that on our phones and use that group text to be able to message back and forth. And so at the beginning, especially, it was a lot of just information, like, hey, we're going to be closed and this is what's happening. I also would draft, I think I did a couple of emails where it was, of course, a lot more in-depth information to share with them, like, okay. And before we got the PPP loan, right? And when it was like, we missed out on that first round, just barely. And so like, okay, we have the application and we're just waiting for this to be approved. This is what I think things might look like to try, to maybe get a couple therapists in. If we don't get the loan, if we do get the loan, this is what it could look like.
Yeah.
And trying to not inundate people with information, but just to be available. I mean, because I don't know about you guys, but I got so burned out because I need all this information. And finally it came to the point where I was like, okay, too much information. I'm just going to stay in bed all day because I don't want to deal with the information. And luckily I didn't really do that. I mean, I had kids, so I kind of had to get out of bed, but I mean,
Yeah.
it was definitely hard. And even now it's still easy to feel overwhelmed if I let myself go down the rabbit hole too much of the what you should do as a business articles. And yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like, and I think that's one thing that business owners aren't always great at talking about. And I struggle with this where there are days where you just want to quit
Yeah.
and just like, I am done with this.
One of my favorite memes is like, the entrepreneur one and it's like the graph of what my day looks like. And it's like, oh, this is the best day ever. And then it's like, oh my gosh, what did I do? And like, oh man, I love being, this is the worst. I'm just going to quit and give up. And oh my word, so many times I would say, I would feel so encouraged like by progress. And then all of a sudden there would be some other announcement and it'd be like, that's it. Maybe it's done. Maybe,
yeah. And all of that compiled with wanting to care for the employees. And I think a lot of people struggle now more currently more than ever with just eye fatigue, because we are looking at our screen significantly more, just fatiguing from that.
And mentally, so I know there's been some articles where it talks about like how and why Zoom meetings and virtually meeting is actually harder on us mentally. I mean, it's a thing, right? We have to recognize that, give ourselves some grace for it.
Absolutely. And so if that's been the increased communication with the workers and trying to have that grace and that courtesy for everything, how's that worked out with your clients? Have you been sending out more email blasts or more social media or more phone calls? Like what's that looked like for you guys?
So we, I mean, during lockdown, right? Thank goodness for cell phones and the technology, right? I did some selfie videos with some tips for people, like some self-care tips.
Oh, awesome.
But again, that was like on the days when I had that energy and I was like, okay, I'm totally going to make this a regular thing. And then it wasn't a thing. And that's okay, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, I mean, some things like that. And we did post, I mean, we were trying really hard to keep people updated with reopening plans, and each state, because we have a clinic in Idaho and a clinic in Washington, and the rules for each were a little different. And we wanted to make sure that we communicated that. So, I mean, we were changing like our voicemail outgoing message, auto reply for emails, because for a while it was just me. And so I was like, I am not going to get to all of these messages very easily. So luckily people were really gracious about that. I think everybody, I mean, of course, sometimes we get grouchy, but I think everybody in general was just really pretty understanding about it. But I think those are some of the biggest things. And then once we were back in the office, we get referrals from doctors. And so we had a bunch of those that had kind of been sitting there because we hadn't been able to see people. And so we called them to let them know, hey, we're open. We can get you scheduled if you're comfortable with that. So I think, some of those things that have maybe been sitting there, like I know other businesses, maybe it's referrals or maybe, right, something like that. Take that time like, hey, we're open and this is what we're doing.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. And so, and that'd be really hard to work in two different states with two different law sets too, because I think Moscow has been making more regulations than the state of Idaho. I feel like I don't live there, so it's been.
Yeah, they've matched more of what Washington is doing. But even then they were opened before Washington, at least for massage therapy, as healthcare providers in Washington state. We had some more strict guidelines as far as we could only see patients that were in, documented kind of, they didn't use the word extreme, but extreme pain. And then we would have to be in full PPE get up, but you don't want to use that because you want to save that for the essential health, right?
Yeah.
So it was this juggling act and like, what are we going to do? And then it was, okay, well, now they're open for elective surgeries. Okay, but does that mean that we can be open? And oh my gosh, so much trying to figure out like what we could do, what we couldn't do. And then eventually we found out, like I had made a decision. I was like, okay, we're closed at least through the end of this week and we'll see what they say. And then we found out like on Monday, I think that we could be open that week. And I was like, forget it. We're still staying closed this week. We're going to get everything ready so we feel like more settled and then we'll go.
Well, and so with that, have you guys been writing new employee handbook manuals and new policies? Like, has all any of that changed or?
Yeah, I mean, to open, you had to have certain policies. So luckily, there have been a couple of resources. So Teresa is the office manager at Palouse Medical, and she's been really great at passing on information from Pullman Regional Hospital because we're not like on their emailing list.
Okay.
So she's been really great at passing on information to me and letting me know like what the hospital has used, what they've used. Because there's no point in reinventing the wheel, right? I mean,
Right.
Google it and then just make it yours. Yeah, because so much brain work needs to be used for other things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So then they were kind of like a key partner in all of this then, making sure that and feeding you that information.
Absolutely. I mean, so those connections are huge. And I would try, and of course, I didn't want to inundate people. And then also I would just kind of get burned out of doing it. But I was trying to make sure that, you know, my friends and people that I know out in the community and just, you know, reposting on Facebook or whatever it was, or passing on those emails to other people just to try and help those other people down the line. Cause I mean, we're all in the same
Oh,
area dealing
absolutely.
with so much of the same stuff.
No, that's really good. And so were there other people or partners that were really helpful too, or were there people that you were able to really contribute to during this time?
So I at the beginning was trying to, sorry, David, I was trying to work with Washington Trust Bank because that's someone that we've used for the school. And the school, luckily, we were able to be okay. But with Healing Hands, that's the one that we needed that PPP loan for. And so he was great about getting me information as he could. And I know that all the bankers were just inundated with so much information, like so many people. Don't feel bad, Daifed. It's okay. And so I was able to just pass on any of the information that I could, especially I did a lot of Facebook posting, but then emails to I have a friend, Jackie, who owns Building Blocks Childcare Center, right? Like totally different businesses, but so much of that information was the same to be able to share with each other, like those grants and those loans and kind of the more financial side, where even if we aren't having to worry about the exact same things, at least we have some stuff that we can kind of support each other about. And then when things, are frustrating, we can complain to each other. And I mean, let's be real, like this isn't all sunshine and rainbows. There's so much that's been hard.
Yeah.
And so having someone that we can, that I could talk to and that she could talk to me, and even other business owners too, like Teresa and I was like, okay, did you get your PPP loan application in? No, like I'm still working on it. And I'm talking to this person, and there's so much communication that was wonderful. And I appreciated so much having people that I had those connections with that were a support to me and that I could share with too. As a business owner, oftentimes, I think we hit on this a little bit. I mean, we definitely talked about it before. I can't remember before the webinar, but sometimes as an entrepreneur, if you're by yourself, or even as an employer, or just an entrepreneur of a small business, you can feel alone. And
Yeah.
especially as you're trying to wade through all of these things. Like for me, I have great employees, but they were all, I mean, they were all laid off at that point. And so it was just me trying
Yeah.
to do it. And that felt very heavy. And so it was so great to be able to utilize those connections with other people and to, you know, have that network of the others that want to help lift and inform as well. I think it's so important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely identify with that loneliness because there's so much that you can't say as a business owner sometimes. But then like with my parents, my dad did not understand when I was like, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna run a business and people from the internet are gonna pay me money to do work. And his mind was blown. And for 6 months, he keep handing me, oh, hey, this was in the newspaper. Can you apply for this job? I'm like, it's fine, I'm good. But where does the money come from? But then so much of it was I wasn't able to vent to my dad about business problems because he didn't understand that. He didn't have um, it just wasn't the right spot. And so it's hard to know who to talk to, and um, it's hard. It is really, really hard.
Yeah.
Um, and so you're by yourself at these different points. Like, did your PPP or PPE spending increase or decrease, or like, have you had to buy a lot of PPE equipment to continue doing services,
We
um,
really, it's just been like the cleaning stuff
cleaning supplies?
mostly. I mean, because we, you know, clean at least once an hour and we, in the main areas, whether or not somebody touched it, and, you know, we're cleaning everything in the rooms, like spraying it down. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there was research and some of those
Yeah.
products that work faster, like they aren't easy on surfaces, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So, I mean, and not all of them are like bleach, you know, the bleach level of expense, right? They cost more than, you know, the gallon jug of bleach at Walmart or whatever.
Right.
Uh, and for that, a lot of that, I really appreciated Facebook groups like for
Mm.
massage therapists. So finding like those people that are in the same profession, I mean, that was super helpful. And our spending, I mean, has gone up for that, but not nearly as much as it could have been.
Mm.
Part of that is being able to use like the cloth face masks,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you know that has been really great. And I want to give a shout out. There's again, it's a Facebook group, and not just a Facebook group, but this local group that's been. I wish I could remember their name. All I can think of is like Palouse face mask something, but they've connected with this larger group of individuals who have donated their time and people that have donated materials and money
Wow.
to be a central resource for businesses that need masks, that
That's
need
awesome.
face shields. They were working on being a resource, I think, for like hand sanitizer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so finding like those resources was huge for us because we were able to get 100 masks like that
Wow.
that we didn't have to pay for. Um, and
That's
yeah,
incredible.
I mean, the sense of community, right? And um, the willingness to help people out has really saved our business and helped us a lot. I mean, if we had to buy those disposable masks for every patient and every employee to use, I mean, that would add up really fast.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And were you guys ever closed because you weren't able to get cleaning supplies at all? Or were you able to?
Thankfully, no. Part of that is I figured out my timing for the Walmart delivery, like when their shipments would come in for hand sanitizer. I'm not even kidding you. Like I just randomly happened to go in. I want to say it was like on a Wednesday night, maybe even like a Thursday morning or something. And I was like, oh, there's like the giant bottles of hand sanitizer. And then I like never saw them after that until I went back again, like another Wednesday night or Thursday morning or something. And I was like, all right, I got this now. Or like the dollar store, right? Someone was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, the dollar store has some. but you can only get 4 per person.
Right,
Great.
right.
So now 2 of my employees are going to go and buy some also. I mean, just doing what we could to try and gather those supplies so we had enough that we wouldn't run out.
Yeah.
Idaho State, and I don't know if Washington has, but Idaho State actually put together a program for people to be able to purchase PPE and hand sanitizer and things like that at a reasonable price.
Yeah.
It took a little bit to get to us, but I mean, that was, I think, a great resource also for us that we used.
No, that's incredible. I think we were closed for, I think, 2 days. And then I did the same thing. I was like a Monday morning at Winco, like, they have wipes? They have stuff?
Yeah.
No, that's
I remember
awesome.
seeing you actually. We met up at like the auto, what is it, Napa?
Napa, yeah.
Because I was picking up my giant bundle of microfiber cloths because they're reusable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eco-friendly. So, yep. And and the eyeglass, the eye covers.
Yeah, yeah, they have a lot. They've been, I think Napa's kind of been kind of the unspoken, like, nobody wants to say, oh yeah, you can buy everything at Napa. They
Right.
have it all.
Well, the
Just
secret's
because,
out, everybody.
yeah. But those, as business owners, that's one thing that we can be really thinking about of, okay, we know this supply chain is maybe getting a little bit thin, but then, okay, well, maybe this supply chain is different. For retail board games, I know that Barnes and Noble is a distributor. And so there's a lot of times where if something's completely sold out, limited run, you can buy from the Barnes and Noble supply chain, and they almost always have inventory of everything.
Oh, cool.
So
Random, but
there's,
I mean, just those little things that you pick up, right?
yeah, yeah. Um, and gosh, getting all those masks, that's incredible. And I saw in the video that you give out masks. Have you had any clients that uh, I don't want to say aggressively refuse, but are just like, I'm not wearing a mask?
We had, I think, one person for sure that was like, I'm not gonna wear a mask and just left. But
Wow.
I mean, out of hundreds of visits, that's not bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
And
And if they had told us they had a medical condition or something, that would have been fine. But I don't think that I don't know if that was the case or not.
mhm.
Yeah.
Well, and have you trained your employees on how to handle those circumstances?
Yeah. I mean, for us, our kind of philosophy that is part of how we take care of our employees is
Hmm.
that as much as we love our customers and we want to take care of them, we're not going to do that at the detriment to ourselves.
Yeah,
And so it was like, hey, you are absolutely fine to refuse service to that person if they won't wear a mask. Because I mean, again, I'm not going to push that onto an employee. And both states have said that it's our prerogative as businesses to make that our policy. So,
yeah.
I mean, to each their own, but that's what we've chosen. And so we strongly support our employees in decisions that they make like that.
That's awesome. That's incredible for you guys to be able to empower your employees like that. Because and it sounds like your employees have a lot of ownership, being able to move into difficult circumstances. Because I know when I've been in other organizations where there's always a lot of questions, even if it's been delegated, there isn't a sense of ownership for them to be able to take that initiative. There's still a little bit of fear or hesitation.
Mm.
So that sounds like you're an amazing boss. That's awesome.
Well, thank you.
Uh,
I try and be. I want it to be a place that I would want to work. Right.
yeah,
I mean, I haven't been an employee for a really long time, but I mean, if I'm gonna be an employer, I want people to want to be there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then looking ahead, has the college reopened?
Yeah, our school once they opened up in-person instruction, just with, and of course we had to like turn in whatever documentation they wanted, saying like, this is our plan to keep students 6 feet apart and to wear masks and like that type of thing. Our class sizes are so small that we're
Mhm.
able to easily do that physical distancing or social distancing, and still be in
Awesome.
person. So we've been able to like get our classes started up, and we actually graduated a class. The poor class had to wait. I mean, I want to say it was the 2 or 3 months, and we were able
Wow.
to get them through and graduated. And so we had our socially distanced graduation, people's different groups kind of all over the place. And but teaching, I mean, it's been good. And we've had, I mean, knock on wood, we've had so many near misses with
Mhm.
people, oh, my coworker or this friend I hung out with or whatever, like they tested positive.
Yeah.
We've felt pretty confident that even if one of our employees or one of our students or whomever were to come down, with the coronavirus, we've been wearing our masks, we've been cleaning, right? So the chances of it continuing to spread have been pretty much stopped as much as possible. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's where even at the daycare level, my my son hasn't been sick in about 5 months, knock on wood. Uh, just because there's a lot fewer students there, people are deep cleaning everything. If they're sick, people are staying home, which is
I know,
amazing.
right? Like we say that, but how often do we mean it? Like, if you're sick, stay home. And now I feel like people really get it and like, no,
Hmm.
really, stay
Yeah.
home. Right?
No,
Yeah.
that's incredible. And so then, do you have somebody managing the social media, or are you doing everything for all that still, and for all the
It's been me
communications going
so
out?
far, which is why there's been like no posts lately. We actually, our office admin, he actually went to U of I and has his degree in marketing. So
Oh, awesome.
eventually, our thought is that he would take that over. But
Hmm.
I mean, it's
Hmm.
something that I wish that we were more proactive about. Um, I I think that it might help draw people to us, but if anything, just again trying to be that support.
Yeah.
I love sharing like positive messages, right? So even if it's just like, hey, we're all gonna be fine, and have a
Yeah.
great day or whatever. I mean, I feel like that would be great and it would contribute to what's on Facebook, but
Well,
they're
and
not like
the video was awesome. Like, did that take a long time, or was that a pretty easy process? Like, what was it like to think through a video like that? Did the marketing guy also edit that together for you guys, or?
nope. That was all me. I've learned
Awesome.
so many things in COVID pandemic lockdown mode. Like, I am pretty good at Zoom, although I haven't figured out how to do the backgrounds. That's like the next thing I want to figure out, right? But figuring all that out. And then with the video, I mean, Google, thank goodness for Google
Hmm.
and YouTube, right? Where it's like, okay, here's this, and free music resources, and just tons of things like that. Where, I mean, it took energy and time, but that was one of those things that I was able to like kind of bust through. And I mean, with my mom, it probably took us maybe an hour. Um, and luckily, she was a really good sport, and I had in my head what I thought I wanted it to be like. And so, but we could get a couple takes, right? And then just with
Yeah.
the handy old tripod, be right sitting there. And yeah. So I mean, it wasn't the easiest thing I've ever done, but it was doable. So I feel like there are resources out there that people can use, or they can get an expert that would do an amazing job, like your company.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. Do the city. Oh, this is a really good question. Z's just popped in. Um, does the city, county, or state health officials plan to audit or check your facility for COVID preparation?
Oh, not that they've mentioned. I mean, I guess that they could.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I mean, it's one of those things like a couple years ago, for the first time ever in 16 years, I had like a health department person come by and check, because they've just been doing
Wow.
that more frequently in the past couple years with like massage therapy businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I guess I try and be one of those people where we're prepared, like we do what we're supposed to, even when no one's looking.
Right, right. Yeah.
And integrity, right? Part of things. And not that we're perfect, right? But of course, we always do our best. So I don't know. But even if they did, we'd be prepared.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree that's a hard one too, because you guys have the medical requirements to make sure everything is completely sanitized. We're a little bit different as an office, but um, I guess TV makes it a little bit more dramatized. Like, oh yeah, health inspectors just walk into businesses like
Which they
all the
do.
time.
Like that was totally, I mean, I hadn't had it happen to me before, but I mean, it was completely unexpected and they
Hmm.
totally did. Granted, it wasn't during COVID, but I mean,
Yeah.
it,
Well, and with that, do you guys oh, what is it, the traceability records? Are you guys keeping tabs on all that stuff as a business?
we are not. I mean, we also haven't had anybody test positive, right? And we
Hmm.
haven't had any patients that have come across as positive. So again, we've luckily been able to dodge some bullets
Hmm.
there. But there was actually, I think, just I don't know how recently, just maybe within this last week, a massage therapist friend passed on to me that the document from, I think, the health department, essentially saying, with talking about tracing and saying that that information is not HIPAA protected, right? So
Oh,
those Health Portability Act laws,
yeah.
they don't restrict us sharing names and whatnot if we do find out that a patient or staff are positive.
Hmm.
Um, so not that we shouldn't still try and keep things confidential, like when we're telling a patient, you know,
Right.
if that were to happen, right? You don't want to be like, oh, so Joe Schmo came in and he got a massage, Mandy, and then Mandy saw you and Terry and Joe, right? Like,
Right, right.
there's no reason for that. But I mean, we have to keep records anyways, because
Yeah, yeah, of the appointments and everybody that
everybody,
comes in
right?
and out. So,
I can't imagine some of the places, the ideas of doing like a restaurant or something. I mean, that would, I've eaten out a couple times and they've never
hmm,
like taken our names or anything. So I don't know if they have some sort of
yeah,
environment
yeah.
like that or not. Anyway.
When I think the only place that I've seen locally that has that has been Rancho Viejo. They asked, and I was like, sure, I'll throw my name down. That's fine.
So,
Um,
but it was like, but it wasn't required. It was just,
I think they wanted at least one person in our party because there was five of us plus a couple kids.
okay.
So if there was at least one contact person for that
Oh yeah,
event or occurrence, I
that
think they
makes
were
sense.
fine. Um, it's and that's hard because I haven't seen that at coffee shops or other places, but I haven't eaten out a whole lot aside from like
Right.
takeouts.
Yeah.
And
Same.
so yeah, it's hard. There's a lot of variation.
Yeah. And I mean, the person who pays the bill, you have their name, I guess, right? If they use a
Yeah,
card.
yeah. At this time we are at the 45-minute mark. Did anybody else have any questions for Mandy or us? Or I know Aziz is watching too, so he might be able to answer things as things pop up. But I do want to open up for questions that maybe we haven't asked that we're curious about or how others are doing. I love this. This is encouraging. It's helpful to see how everybody's doing. Um, David asks, these chair massages, can you do home visits?
No. That is an environment we can't really control. So we haven't been comfortable with that.
Hmm.
But Yeah. Like I said, we're going to be opening it up to some of the businesses.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh, I did. Unless there's another question.
No, go for it. Go for it.
I did want to, like, one of the things that I wanted to mention, we've talked about kind of feeling alone or feeling burnt out or, staying in bed type of thing. One of the things that I wanted to mention that I've noticed, and I'm sure other people have noticed this with themselves, but just to point it out, that not trying to drink from the fire hydrant of information all the time has been really helpful. Right? So like with the PPP loan, I had webinars, information via email being sent to me by, I want to say it was like Inc. and like the not this Chamber of Commerce, but it was like the national like Chamber of Commerce people. And like, cause I had gone to the one webinar or whatever, and I just filled up my time with that and was just so drained. And then especially with the PPP loan and the forgiveness part of it changing and how soon you had to use it and all those things changing, like and I think I did it in a healthy enough way without being uninformed, right? But I kind of like, I unsubscribed from so many things.
Yeah.
And then was like, all right, I'm not even going to try and understand how this is going to work until the SBA has determined what the rules are actually going to be. Right? Like, so I think some of those things where if we can save some of our energy, our mental and physical energy for the other things in our life, like to enjoy, then we can actually get through this feeling a little bit better. Knowing that this is like a marathon, right? This isn't going to go away.
Yeah.
And 2 months from now, it's not going to be gone. We're still going to be dealing with this for a while. So being more picky about what you spend your time getting completely immersed in, I had to realize for myself was an important kind of distinction to make. Yeah,
absolutely. Me and my wife, we go out and we go to, there's a spot north of Ephrata and also Door Shack where there's no cell phone service, no nothing. And I think my parents think we're weird because we don't bring games. We did take some fishing poles. We did a little bit of fishing, but we just sat and talked and just enjoyed company. We didn't bring devices. We didn't bring anything. It was just, we just sit and enjoy time.
And for years, haven't there been studies like telling us to do that? And we're all like, whatever, I have to stay connected.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I got to the point where I was like, peace out. Like I gotta go for a weekend or whatever. And I would come back so much more ready. And the science was all there, but
absolutely
whatever, handle it and just listen to it, right?
I love it. Let's see, who's there? Ooh, do you feel like COVID has made your family closer as a unit?
Yes. I don't know that my children would always agree. It definitely, we spend so much time together, but I'd have to say, the whole parenting thing with kids in school was a whole other facet that I'm going to be hopping into it this next week, like a lot of other parents and this with the Pullman and local school districts. It's been nice to have that extra time with them, and at the same time to teach them, I guess. I don't mean healthy. I don't mean boundaries in like this like super negative connotation, but boundary is like, all right, Sunday afternoon, quiet time, right? Like you guys, you're each going to be in your own room and we're going to have time. And, hey, this is not TV time, read a book, right? Do something else. So luckily they've had a couple of friends that they can play with. And I think we've realized like we need time outside of each other, but I've enjoyed the extra time with them that I maybe would got to experience some things that I wouldn't have otherwise. And I got to be there for them through some hard, like the not being able to be with their friends at school, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, they're going through a lot of the same hard things, you know, as grown-ups are. And I mean, not some of the big decision making. If anything, they probably feel less in control. And so getting to be able to be there for them has been nice. Not that, again, my patience has always been great,
Hmm.
but yeah, good family time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I think we'll probably wrap up with that. David was also saying that they've been able to do 3 meals a day with the wife and kids, and that's been just incredible for them, and less TV, lots of reading, spending time. My wife misses working from home. She's back at the University of Idaho because they're going full school.
Yeah.
Uh, and their setup looks incredible. Like I'm very impressed with how they're rolling it.
Cool.
But this has just been an incredible time, almost an hour of. Thank you so much for sharing with us your experience and what you guys have been doing, and um, I hope everyone else was encouraged and enjoyed this time too. We're going to try and do this on a monthly basis. We're trying to reach out to other businesses. So if you do know of businesses that would be good for this type of profile of, um, challenges, but improvements and working through and showing resilience, let us know. We'd love to talk and see who else is out there doing this. Cause I don't know that as business owners, I don't know that we're always good at celebrating our wins.
Right. Well, and like, again, when we're there by ourselves, like, who's going to celebrate with us? We're like, I got this done. Oh, it's like 2 in
Exactly.
the morning and I'm not going to be seeing my employees tomorrow, right? Can't tell them I got it done.
Yep.
So,
Exactly. So thank you all for coming today. Thank you, Southeastern Washington Economic Development Association, for helping to sponsor this today. And Aziz from the SBC, he was helping to promote and work with us. And of course, the Chamber of the City. Um, we love working with everyone, and stay safe. Enjoy the afternoon. Hopefully it stays a little bit cooler. Uh, and I'll see you guys later. Take care.